Good evening. Welcome to another episode of your favorite football podcast. I have here two returning guests, Idris, the old fisty Chelsea fan, and of course, my funny brother, Itata. Welcome back. I'm your
Yeah.
host, Buchi. Today, we're going to review a few things that have gone on in football in the past week. Uh, but most especially, we'll focus on Chelsea Man United game. Um, we will also, try and do a few
Mm.
personal things in the podcast, throw in our own little perspective into the game. So before we dive in, I want you all to please subscribe, follow us on our social media handles. Twitter, it's Footy80 Fantasy. On Facebook, it's Footy Fantasy. And on YouTube as well, it's Footy Fantasy. And I'll spell that out. It's FOOTIE Fantasy, FANTASY. On Twitter, it's FOOTIEADFANTASY, Footy80 Fantasy. So quickly, let's dive in. Whew, that was not
I
a
know.
great game today. I don't even know. I don't know where to start. So I'll say quickly, Idris, tell me what you thought about the game. You're already laughing.
we should be two up in that game, Imo. I mean, actually three up when there are like three clear chances that on a good day if we were clinical, we were good. The one the Hudson-Odoi cross for Giroud, somehow we missed that. Kim Ziyech finally woke up at some point in time in the game, and massive save by De Gea. And Macy Mount just ran and somehow end product as soon as he got there, nothing more. So that's Chelsea's story anyway. But my opinion on the game is, as usual, playing against United. Um, this specific coach is, I mean, your coach, what's it called, Ole. He stifles other teams. It just is very hard to beat. Since he got it right, his teams are just hard to break, I think. Well, again, I say that from a Chelsea standpoint, like with the expansive football we play. Since Sarri, Frank, and now Tuchel, it's kind of hard. When you get your chances, you just put them away with a team like Manchester United. But I know a lot of people think it's boring. I found it very interesting actually.
Tata, he
Yeah,
said he
well,
found it very interesting. Did you?
yeah. I don't know, Buchi or Idris. Do you have a medical plan that has retina insurance? Because mine is destroyed. That game, I don't want to watch that game again. And this is this is from a United perspective. And even I have to push back and say these are two great teams. And I remember watching Chelsea, Manchester United. I mean, from the past. I know it's unfair to go back, but I and Buchi, we go way back when it comes to football. This was disappointing, clearly disappointing. But from both teams, you could say Chelsea were watchable. I mean, you guys did a few good things, right? United, I don't know. We played like a it wasn't good. Let me just put it like that. It wasn't good. It wasn't a proper game of football that should come from Manchester United and Chelsea. But Chelsea were the better team. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that with Stamford Bridge. But it was disappointing. It was disappointing. And Chelsea should have won that game. The
Yeah,
clear chances fell to Chelsea.
that's right.
So yeah.
I would agree with both of you to an extent regarding because I think Chelsea got the better chances. But do I believe that Chelsea deserved to win the game? No, they got what they deserved. They didn't. It was just one clear chance. That's the chance, which was repelled by a wonderful save. Um, on the balance of play, it was a lot of huffing by Chelsea. But there's, no punch, just huffing and puffing around without punch. That's what I saw. They had better chances. Chelsea should have won the game. United as well should have won the game. Weirdly, because they had a chance at the end of that game. They had a counter where they were 3-on-2 with McTominay. That if a pass had been played correctly, it would have been a smash.
You don't have Kante. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't make it sound like if a pass was Kante exists.
No.
It wasn't a great pass. But on the balance of play, if any team should have won it, it could have been, or did anything to win it, it should have been Chelsea. United had only about a 10-minute period before the end of the first half where they were in the game. But then during the second half, after the half break, it was just flat. So I would say I was personally, as a United fan, disappointed by Man United. They were flat. They defended robustly, but they really did not go for the game. They appeared to have settled for the draw. But like I said, Chelsea did not also probe for the win. They didn't seize the initiative in the final third. They didn't do enough in there. They didn't really test the United defenders. That's what I saw. But I think there's something I noticed coming into the game. I thought about that. And it was weird that I think even after the result, the Chelsea fans kind of have the same feeling I think they would have been having going into this game. This is a perspective I had, that Chelsea looked to be on the upward of the slope. They look to be climbing. They look to be getting, and of course that is easier to say because they're coming from a dead place. They literally could have, the worst thing was for a team like Chelsea would have been maybe to have been in the bottom half, but they were really bad. So, but they look like they've come out of that and they look to be coming up. Of course, in the literal sense, they're also getting points, which is great. So I think compared to Man United, I think Man United have hit they're on the top of their own slope. Not maybe the top of the slope of football, but they might have hit a play to right now. That's what I think. And they're not moving, they're not going down, but they're not either, they're not inspiring that much. There's a lot to be positive about, but there's also enough to be negative about. That's what I'll say. What do you guys think? Idris, what do you think?
Yes, I agree, considering where we're coming from in the middle of the season. And it's kind of funny because it's kind of like everybody has gone through their rut this season. Like it's like when you start having bad results, it's almost like a disease. It sticks with you for like 5, 6, 7 games. Then a contagion, somebody catches that disease and carries it off and keeps going.
Yeah,
then somebody else
come through the season.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing. And it's like when you're in a rut, it's really bad. It's like a flu. You're out and nothing is working, no matter what you do. I mean, like Man City at the beginning of the season, they were 13th. To think about where they were at the beginning of the season, they were 13th. And we just assumed there's enough games to catch up and it's Pep. He'll figure it out. Or worst case scenario, January is going to come and they'll write any check for anything. Like that's what we expected, right? Yeah. But Chelsea, it was like Chelsea had this massive expectation, and I know a lot of Chelsea fans are going to come for me because they still think I'm like pro Lampard and everything, which I love Lampard. But if you look at the expectation that Chelsea had, bought all these people, almost a brand new team when you think about it, right? And there was no preseason. We need to gel, expectation on the coach. He's had all these boys, all that. And most of the boys were playing, in my own opinion, their second season, because last season was their first full season as seniors, when you think about it, right? So this is their season as sophomore players that they have to prove that last season was not a fluke. And if you think about it, we hit that patch in December, horrible 7 games, coach gets fired, right? Obviously, you get a bounce. But what was tweaked, if you notice this Chelsea team, was defensive shape. It looked more tactically disciplined. And in comparison to today's game, you could tell. I know you think it's boring, and I see a lot of different battles in watching it, which was every time Chelsea attacks, yes, we huff and puff a lot. Every game we watch Chelsea, huff and puff. Go look at our GX ratio. Chelsea creates so many chances, very little conversion, sorry. And that's been previous coaches up till now. And one losing Eden Hazard was significant because a lot of people think, oh yeah, Sarri was a good coach, but we just have one way of doing things, right? But when if you take out Eden Hazard from that team, that was 50% of the entire season's goal that was gone from assistant goals. One guy, like literally 50%. So now, if you don't have him or have a guy like Bruno Fernandes, right, that creates anything or just impacts the goal, you will struggle in the final third. Period.
But
There's nothing.
The thing I would say about that is where I have a problem with that argument. Sometimes it feels like what does Chelsea want? Because yes, you lost Hazard, but you also have currently Ziyech, who is one of the most creative players in football in general. He's one of the most creative wingers, midfielders in Europe. He can, throw in assists with his deadly left foot. He's a version of
he had glimpses of that in the beginning of the season with the previous coach.
Pulisic, so
here's the thing.
Creating a cohesive unit, not a case of losing
Here's
Hazard,
the thing.
for example.
They're not fiery. Chelsea is the place where attackers come and die. It's a known thing. Everybody knows this. From Torres to Mattia Kezman to Crespo to Shevchenko, they come to Chelsea and it doesn't work out. It's a known thing for us.
Maybe it's time we start giving Pep one. And I mentioned this because Lampard proved to me that this idea of giving a coach all the players he wants and he will do wonders, it's not necessarily true, because it seems to be that some coaches are struggling with a lot of talent at their disposal, and this guy gets his talent, some of them gems before he gets them, and he makes them gems, and that's Pep. He seems to be able to work out that system with what he has sometimes.
I'll quickly address that with the last coach, then Sarri and Co. So I'm not the kind of person that likes an idealistic kind of coach. I'm just an ideologue. I'm stuck to this thing, and damn if you do whatever. If it's failing, I'll still stick to it. Right?
Bielsa,
Sarri.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean they're bad coaches.
No, they're great coaches.
When things go awry, or you're figured out, like in a league like Premier League, it's really tough to get out of that rut because everyone has figured you out and they will come at you. We went on 15 games, 17 games unbeaten streak, Chelsea, under the same whack juvenile coach we had in Frank Lampard.
That's right.
Experience was what killed him. We went 17 games, killing it, then we hit a rut. The guy could not change. So we could see why did we like him last season with a bunch of kids. He was doing everything and anything to make it happen, accommodating players, moving things around. Second season, when he got all his resources, he just got so stuck in that, like, I'm going to play 4-3-3, no matter what happens, anybody that can't fit in, get out. Man management kicked in, he lost the dressing room or lost some senior players. This guy comes in, looks at what he has. He's a 4-3-3 coach. He was an ideologue in Mainz. He was decent in Borussia Dortmund. But when he came to where there was money in PSG, personally, he had to change and manage these egos, manage these resources. He comes to Chelsea, he realizes that it's not like these guys are not good. But if you check out, I think aside Arsenal, maybe United, that was just a boogie team for Lampard. We were rarely outplayed. Chelsea was rarely outplayed. You get it? As a Man City that we lost to, we were really outplayed. All this happens at Chelsea will do Chelsea. Like Arsenal, we will screw ourselves over at the end of the day. But today's game, every time we attacked, we watched out for your counter. And every time you countered, we stifled, took the ball back, and came back. So playing United, you're aware of the fact that we keep possession, we can attack United, but we're very wary of the fact that if United breaks through, it's a goal. They need one chance, and that game is the lockup. So that was what I saw in the game today. I was like, okay.
I think, unfortunately, this United team today had a few chances. They had a few changes. in that armor they should have exploited, but they did not. But I will be honest and say that I think just to be fair to Frank Lampard and to be fair to all coaches, because I think we're still in an honeymoon period for Mr. Tuchel. It's still too early. We saw this with Ole when he started. We saw this with Itata. At this stage in Itata's job, he couldn't do no wrong. A year later, so let's give the man a year. It might just be a bounce. The Premier League is one of those leagues where when they find
about 9-game bounce.
It's okay.
Itata, what do you think? 9-game bounce?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had a 15-game bounce. I mean, I'm not saying Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a bad coach or whatever, but I'm saying that if you compare the stats to now, you would see what I mean, that there's a big difference. So sometimes it's the same thing with Lampard. Lampard that is being crucified today, I think, was just an inexperienced coach who COVID caught up with. I think the schedule was bad on him. He didn't have time to, gel all those multi-million players, and maybe he couldn't manage them. I'm just making a case for him.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. A lot of people think he's a bad coach. I don't think he's a bad coach. I honestly think it was. I think it was inexperience because when the rot came, he didn't change. But go ahead, Itata. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying Lampard's coach. I wouldn't say he's a good or bad coach. I would say he was a 14th coach. How does Lampard get the Chelsea job?
That one today.
I don't understand. I know maybe there is an uncle somewhere. I'm not going to mention names. But
Harry.
But how does Lampard get the coaching job at Chelsea? It's questionable for me because take for instance, see Stevie G. You see the path Gerrard is going. Eventually, he will get the Liverpool job, and it will be deserved. You understand? Mm-hmm. It was too early. In my opinion, it was too early. You understand? Chelsea, whether you like it or not, Chelsea is an elite team. They won the European Champions League. You can't take it away from that. And there are certain conversations that will be had. Arsenal wouldn't be mentioned in that conversation, but Chelsea would because of big ears. That's a huge trophy. A team that has won, a team like Chelsea, I didn't expect Lampard to get the job. I have to be honest with you.
Hindsight is 2020, and I personally understand why he got the job. And I know a lot of Chelsea fans will be like, no, Idris, is because you were a Sarri out guy and you wanted Lampard. I will explain why. When Sarri decided to leave, he knew he was going to get fired at some point. He saw the writing on the wall because the fan base was divided and very toxic. Because a lot of us that liked Conte, but also did not like the way Conte related with the board, and he was toxic because he wanted to make his point, and we liked that he won for us, right? But we just didn't like the way things were going on board and coach. So he leaves and Sarri comes in. And in the beginning it was beautiful. But when we start hitting patches and we realized that Sarri was just this ideologue. Chelsea fans are not used to that. You know what I mean? Chelsea fans are not used to that ideological way of play. Like we want to win. However we win, we want to win. You get that's the Chelsea way. Then the Sarri thing, he left to Juventus. Then we had Lampard come in. What everybody's forgetting is we had a transfer ban. All the coaches that were available for us to hire were fired. We had fired them, aside Allegri. You know what I mean? And it's a club that you just mentioned. It's a big club, but it's a club that every coach knows you come here and get fired. It's a known thing. You come here and get fired. So who wanted to take the job that inevitably gets you fired without a transfer kitty? You know what I mean? So Lampard coming in at that time in a toxic fan base at that moment was just the right guy. And he finished fourth. To me, overpunched his weight. Now we thought if he got resources, he'll be better. And to be honest, in my opinion, things are going well to that patch. But you could see that we needed to be structured. But
yeah, so my point is Lampard comes, steadies the ship, finishes fourth, and is allowed to continue a brand new season.
Fair enough.
That's my point is either way, Lampard was not qualified for the job. He is fortunate, but he wasn't qualified for the job. In my opinion.
I mean,
You understand?
not
Yeah.
wrong. It's not wrong.
Okay,
It's not wrong.
let's move on. Let's because I don't think we'll get an agreement on that one because Idris.
Oh no, I'm in agreement with him. I'm in
Yeah,
agreement with
yeah,
him
yeah.
in terms of
Yeah,
hindsight
it
is 2020.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think okay, since we're in agreement, then I think we can move on and talk about something that is a little bit, it's the main thing of the week. This week we normally do kudos and donkeys of the week, but I think a big issue came up. I don't know if it depends on your own perspective, if it's a donkey of the week or kudo of the week moment, but I think it's a big moment of the week, and I want us to talk about that. And that was the LeBron Zlatan issue. It's a pseudo issue connected to football directly through um, Zlatan and indirectly because a lot of footballers are involved in some of these things that Zlatan called out. Good example is Marcus Rashford. And so I wanted us to talk about it, and I just wanted to grab our perspectives about what Zlatan said. Basically, Zlatan said, and I'm paraphrasing from what I saw on video, that he doesn't like it when successful sportsmen get involved in politics. The statement was ambiguous because he didn't specify what kind of politics or what he means by politics. But he also went ahead to say that they should stick to what they're good in, that he's good in football and sticks to that, and that they should stick to what they're good at. And which, of course, LeBron responded to saying he wouldn't stop talking, that he does a lot of good with what he does, and he takes care of a lot of children, and he's going to keep speaking on that. There's been a lot of talk about that, but I wanted to hear from you guys what you guys think. So I'll start with you, Itata.
Well, I would begin by saying, and this is a general advice to the human race. If you are not educated about a topic and you don't have a background knowledge about an issue, please do not comment on it. And I don't know how it's going to be taken on this podcast, but I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak my mind. To be black is a big thing in the spectrum of existence, and only black people can relate to what I'm saying. And I find it insulting when any other person other than a black folk tries to address an issue concerning black people, and trying to address that issue from the angle of being an authority in that issue. It's almost like a false solution because you don't walk that path and you don't know what it is. Black people face genuine daily life struggle every day. Black people who can hold up to it, and even more so, Black people with excellence. And I can tell you now, Oprah Winfrey, Jay-Z, they face struggles just by being who they are. There are levels to this thing. It is a real issue in life. And unfortunately, we are not people who really have a voice. And the only people who have a voice for us are people who are seen. These big, powerful sportsmen, entertainers, and we should be grateful that they at all try to raise their voice to address issues. I think Zlatan even speaking, he is speaking from the ignorant innocence of being a white man and cannot really understand the struggle that Black people face. For LeBron James, using his status as right now the face of basketball and addressing issues, he'll be listened to compared to if it is Buchi, Idris, or Itata talking. So we as Black people do appreciate if LeBron James uses his platform to help, be it that he's building schools or providing scholarships or speaking against social injustice. We do accept it. Who is Zlatan to question that? You know, I understand you have to be stick to what you're good at, but the Black struggle is a different thing. And if a black person who is successful has a platform to speak and liberate his people, he should go ahead and do it. And I don't even think a fellow black man is qualified to tell him to stop. So that's my position on it. Zlatan might be miseducated. Maybe he's not educated at all on issues, real issues of life and history. You understand? Maybe he doesn't know that.
That's the irony of it. That's the irony of it. The biggest irony is that Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I call his full name for a reason, because Zlatan is well educated in the struggles of minorities. He's educated in the issues with politics. Zlatan is from old Yugoslavia. He was born in old Yugoslavia, in that region. He's a refugee. I'm not saying this to slight him or anything. I'm only mentioning that because this is a story. I've had a few friends that were in that region, so I don't know his full experience, but I've had a few friends that were in that region, and I know what they said about having to flee, and the stories they said about bigotry and atrocities that were committed in those areas and their experiences. It's jarring. It was one of the things that when I heard about it firsthand from people that went through it, I was shocked. I mentioned that because that's who Zlatan is. Zlatan is a refugee that experienced, from what I've heard, Islamophobia as a kid and bullying as a kid for his ethnicity. And so you would think that he might be someone that would be speaking on some of the issues that of Islamophobia that European Muslims, for example, faced, because that's an issue that might be related to him. But he has the privilege. That's the thing that I think Zlatan did wrong there, was that he has the privilege and the right of choice not to speak. He has the privilege of being wealthy and having escaped that doesn't affect him, so he doesn't have to be bothered. But people should also should not forget that footballers are not human beings. They haven't lost their rights or their humanity. We shouldn't dehumanize them. We shouldn't keep them away from doing what any other human being would do. And I think politics, the choice to be in politics or not, is a basic human right. And every footballer should, or sportsman in this case, should do what they want. Idris, what do you think?
I second everything you said and Itata said. He's a lived, experienced person. So him saying these things it's kind of like you lived through it. What is it that you don't get? Also, when it comes to Black issues, I realize people always feel as if like it's dismissible. You know what I mean? Like it's something that, like, oh yeah, they come again with their stuff, and I don't even want to say let me play devil's advocate. I would say maybe because when you tune in, you want to watch a football game, basketball game, the last thing you're really thinking about is politics, right? So you're of the impression that this is your escape. Then now when you see something that is not the norm, you kind of have it rubs you off the wrong way if it's not from the community or your school of thought. You get where I'm coming from. But then when you think about it, the persons and what, especially in the mold of North America, right? The persons who are speaking out are potentially not going to be available for you to watch next week if they don't speak out. The consequences of being Black is death, period. The fact people don't grasp this thing is the reason why people still need to make noise about it. I can love Marcus Rashford. I can love even Tammy Abraham. I can love LeBron James. they can be pulled over tomorrow, shot, and that's the end.
That's 100%. That's a
You
real.
know,
That's as real as you can get.
as you can get. And for
and
me,
that,
I'm
and
sorry.
that Rashford will wake up tomorrow and see racist messages
Exactly.
on social media. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And even in our forum, we've gone back and forth with certain folks who are not black, and I had the opportunity to chat with one guy one-on-one outside because I was really kind of irritated when we were having that conversation about I can't remember, was it BLM issues in the States. And I remember when we talked off the whole group chat, it was actually interesting to see where the person was coming from, right? And that's why I second what Itata said, that like if you hear an issue that you do not know about, it's always good to leave it where it is, rather than and try to learn and understand where people are coming from, rather than immediately take a biased approach to a topic that you don't even know about. For me, there's so many things, from the rainbow flag to the poppy that they wear, to even, I remember when I was even saying something on the chat and everybody got mad at me saying, because obviously they saw my Muslim name and they just assumed that I supported Saudi Arabia when Australia was having a minute silence, if you remember. And I was trying to be like, hey, if we're going to pick sides, what about when people decided not to wear the poppy? Because to Nemanja Matic of Manchester United, it meant something different for his people who are Serbians, right? Versus in the country where he works, and he's not, he's not disrespectful, but it was a good dialogue to understand, listen to the person. And as again, I come back to it that I say, I just picked the like, nice perspective there. I appreciate being able to read about that, but I didn't pick a side. The Saudi Australia side is like, nice perspective there. I see what happened. Could have been handled differently. I never picked a side, but the thing just degenerated into like what Zlatan would say, shut up and dribble. He didn't say that, I'm paraphrasing, right? Shut up and dribble. Same thing with, oh, these Muslims are not respectful of this culture in Australia. And you're just like, guys, like, you know, do you know in the Arab world, they don't really, and I could be wrong about this, but I know they don't really do minute silence or stuff for the dead. It's not part of their culture and beliefs. So when you're telling them to be part of something that is not their way of life, the best thing will have been, okay, can we have a conversation like, we want to do this thing before the game, or maybe you guys can come after we finish. You know, those kind of conversation. But when people descend into the conversation without understanding where people and stuffs are coming from, that's a foot to mouth situation that Zlatan finds himself. And I really, really agree with Itata based on, if you don't know a topic, if you're not sure of what something's going, just leave it where it is and move on.
You know, I'm very, very glad I asked you guys about this, because there's something I got, you know, when I had what you guys said and what I think, and that is Itata's statement about learn about something, or if you don't know, ask, actually hits at the heart of the fact that social media is full of a lot of ignorance, a lot of people just talking out of turn. The other thing as well is this thing you mentioned about, like, it's not just LeBron, for example, that has done it. It's not just even a certain race of people that have done it. You can see the poppy thing you mentioned. It's political, but Matic has done it. That guy of that Irish guy, the Northern Irish guy, the player, has done it. McLean, I believe his name is McLean. I'm not sure, but I think that's his name.
I remember the Northern Irish player,
Yeah. So the thing, it's not even about one person's politics. It's about, let anyone, if you're a superstar and you want to use your platform to speak about an issue that affects you, please do. My pleasure.
Right.
Because there's another part of it that we forget. It's one of the things, you know, I'm sorry to bring in a little bit of legal stuff into this, but for example, one of the things the Supreme Court once said was that in that DC United case, or Citizens United case, excuse me, they said that money, how you spend your money, is part of your free speech right. So if you are rich and you want to spend your money, pay for people to do something, to say something, or you want to use your resources to, do something, it's a right. It's not, you can't even stop it. That's why rich people are allowed to donate, do whatever they want with their money politically. So why do you now want to stop one set of rich people from doing it one way, and then but the other part, you're letting another part do it? So I think of all of these things as resources, like you said, they have a platform and they can use it anyhow they want to. And with that, I think it's a good point to wrap up. Bit quickly before we go, is anyone looking forward to anything this week in football? Any games, anything you're looking forward to?
I personally think asking a Manchester United fan from what he's looking forward to in football after watching that is a problem. It's a problem. I'm blacked out. So what I'm going to do, I'll probably have someone negotiate so I can get live streams of Ludo from Nigeria. I'll be watching live Ludo games.
Idris, what about you?
For me, it's just I think there's Champions League next week, right?
No.
Or Europa.
No, you guys have Liverpool. Liverpool are playing Chelsea on Thursday also.
Oh yeah, sorry. What am I saying? Like, yeah, because this on FPL, this is a double game.
Yeah, it's a double. Right?
So that's the only. Yeah, FPL is all I care about right now. Week. Yeah, we're playing Liverpool on Thursday also.
That's right.
Thursday, I believe so. But I'm just looking at anybody I picked for my double game this week. That's all I care about. I'm selling Salah the moment transfer window opens. That guy's useless. I can't stand him anymore.
All right, guys. I gotta cut it off here now. I understand. We're running out of time. I wish we could be here a little bit longer. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Footy Fantasy on YouTube and Facebook. On Twitter, it is Footy80 Fantasy. Please subscribe, give us your likes, and if you have any reaction or whatever, we love the comments. We want to hear from you guys. It was nice having you, and
it was a pleasure, Idris.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, Tata. It was a pleasure, Buchi.
All right. Buchi. Yeah.
Thank you.